Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tech with Sach. My name is Sachin, a Google developer expert, and in today's video, we'll learn how to integrate or add rich responses to your chatbots. So without further ado, let's get started. So what shall we actually build today? So in our previous episodes, we had learned a lot about how we can actually create our own chatbot from scratch, and also how you can actually build and integrate your chatbots to different platforms. So for today's session, we'll learn we'll learn more about rich responses. We'll see how we can integrate it with different platforms. We'll also see how you can integrate it within Dialogflow's web interface, Messenger, Facebook, Slack, Telegram, and different platforms. So we'll be covering all of that today. And we'll also see how you can add dynamic and rich responses to Google Assistant. And finally, for a very special episode, we'll also see how you can add audio and sound to your chatbot or voice assistant. Just to sum up and recap of where we are right now, this is part of the ultimate chatbot tutorial. So we started with how to build our own chatbot from scratch using Dialogflow. And from there, we learned about intents, entities, and fulfillments. We learned how you can easily connect existing FAQ documents and then link it to your chatbot using knowledge connectors, knowledge bases and connectors. We learned how to integrate it with Google Assistant, Web, Dialogflow Messenger. We also created a chatbot in such a way that it integrates directly into the Google Calendar. So for people who have joined us for the very first time, what we have created so far is a chatbot where we can set up an appointment and then the appointment date would be automatically integrated into your Google Calendar. And finally, after that, we also went a step further and converted our chatbot into a telephony service. So that is, you can actually have or talk to your chatbot directly through the phone line. Interact with it just like how you're interacting with your chatbot, but via voice through the normal telephony line. And from there, we moved on to integration with your Facebook Messenger. We also looked at how we could integrate it with Twilio and WhatsApp, and Slack, Telegram, and Line was the previous episodes. So that's quite a lot that we've covered as part of this ultimate chatbot tutorial. I'm happy to see familiar faces joining us again. Thank you all for joining us. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you can be notified for future videos. So with that being said, let's actually get started. So the first thing that you need to do is go to console.dialogflow.com. Okay, so we have already created our chatbot at this point. Again, creating a chatbot is very simple. If you're joining for the very first time, I would highly recommend that you check out the previous videos. But with just being over here with this live stream, you will also learn a lot about how the chatbot design is, what are intents, what are entities, and a lot of those design concepts. So the first thing that we need to do is let's actually start with our first integration, which is gonna be the Dialogflow web. Okay, so just to kind of recap, let's see what our chatbot typically does. So let me go back over here. So under the integrations, we are gonna click on web demo. And within that web demo, you can click on this link. As I've shown previously, you can also integrate this directly into your own website. So let's chat with our chatbot. So greetings, I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus. So if you actually look at this specific concept as such, you'll find an icon over here. So by default, you wouldn't see this icon, and let's actually see how to enable this. So we're gonna go back into our chatbot within Dialogflow. Click on this gear icon, which is basically the settings. Once you go into the settings, what you can then do is you can actually go to speech and enable this. So you can enable text speech. And again, this offers a lot more flexibility that you will need. So for example, here you can configure certain things like the language of what the voice would be, English. You can also choose different wavenet models. So what I mean by wavenet models is these are different voices that's provided by Dialogflow. Okay, so you can choose any of these, and you can also test it directly over here. So if I say so let's say, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome to the show.
So you can see that when you hit the play button, you can actually see what kind of voice is actually configured as part of your chatbot agent. You can also go ahead and change it to different wavenet models.
Hi, welcome to the show.
So depending on your chatbot, again, when you're building chatbots, there's a lot of things apart from just having conversations that you design. You also have to create a persona based on what your chatbot does. So you can choose what your chatbot would typically sound like and choose one of these wavenet models that you feel is close to what your chatbot would represent as part of the persona, and then kind of integrate it. So now you can also go ahead and play around with certain pitches. So for example, if I increase a pitch to 1 or 2, you can see how that reflects directly into the response.
Hi, welcome to the show.
So you can see that the pitch has been increased, and if I bring it really low,
Hi, welcome to the show.
you can see how deep it goes. So again, these are some of the settings that you can do. So by default, this would be disabled for you. You can always click on this settings icon or the gear icon, go to speech and enable automatic text to speech and save this. Now once this is done, when you come over here, you'll find this icon next to your chatbot. So if you want to see how this would sound, you can always go and click on this.
I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus.
Perfect. So for people who are actually wondering where this information is actually coming from, so in our previous tutorials, we actually went and designed a simple chatbot which would set an appointment for us and integrate that appointment date and time directly into our calendar. So in this, in terms of Dialogflow, everything is about intents and entities and fulfillment. So intents is what the user, based on what the user is typing or based on what the user is actually saying, Dialogflow will match the utterances and match an intent. What is the intent of the user? So if you come back to the application, we said hi, and based on that, we would automatically come into the welcome intent. Why the welcome intent? By default, Dialogflow provides you the default welcome intent. This is the start of your chatbot. And the reason why whenever you type hi, you're able to get that response is because we've added training phrases over here. So there's no coding as such involved at this point. So you feed in the training phrases, and then finally you can come down and see what the responses are. So any input from the user, something like hi, hello, any kind of greetings, it would understand that it's a welcome intent. What is the response? The response is greetings. I can help you set an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus. So getting the information about the coronavirus was done using Dialogflow's knowledge base and connectors. So you can check out the previous tutorials. But here we'll just concentrate on this part where we're setting up the appointment. Perfect. Now coming back, I can say set an appointment. At what time? Again,
At what time?
see. For each and every response, you can see by default, since we have enabled that settings, it will be available for each and every response from your chatbot. Let's say 7 p.m. Friday.
When do you need this? What kind of services are you looking for?
So you can see based on the different questions, the modulation of the voice and everything is automatically handled by the settings, right? So what kind of services are you looking for? Let's say dental service, since that's what we have configured within our application.
Okay, let me see if we can fit you in. December 25th, 7 p.m. is fine.
Wonderful. So our chatbot is actually working fine, and let's actually go and see if our chatbot is the calendar is being set again. So as I mentioned Friday, which is the 25th, and you can see between 7 to 8 it has already reserved the slot for that appointment. Perfect. Now the next thing that we do is, now that we know how our chatbot experience looks like from a chat demo, from a web integration, let's actually go a step further and explore Dialogflow Messenger. So this is actually pretty cool, because one thing that you need to keep note is the website integration of Dialogflow, what Dialogflow provides, only has text responses, right? So this is great in terms of having these kind of simple chatbot back and forth conversations. But what if you want to have a little more rich response? What if you want to provide the user with images or files, or have a set of list shown to the user in a better UI, or have a immersive experience for the user? So all of that can be achieved by using Dialogflow Messenger. So that's another alternative that you can try. So in this case, what we'll do is, let's go back to our chatbot. Let's go back to Dialogflow console, and within the Dialogflow console, what we'll do is, over here we are gonna come to integrations again, and within the integrations, let's explore Dialogflow Messenger. So by default, all of these would be disabled. So you have to enable each of these and follow the integrations. We've covered, as part of this Ultimate Chatbot tutorial series, we've covered almost all of these integrations. So do check out the previous tutorials for people who are joining us for the very first time. And in terms of coming back to Dialogflow Messenger, what this does is, you have an easier way to have your own version of like a messenger bot directly integrated into your web. So unlike the previous chatbot website integration, where this is like a box that would be available for you, this is a much more streamlined and better approach, where you can just see how this would appear on your website. So this is what it would look once you integrate this code. Again, all you need to do is copy this script into your HTML and paste this within the body. Paste this code within the body, and your chatbot would automatically work. So you'll find this icon on the bottom right corner of your screen. Again, need not worry, it's completely mobile responsive. So if you're moving to using this on mobile as well as on your web browser or desktop, depending on the screen, it automatically takes care. So you don't need to worry about that. So in terms of the Dialogflow Messenger, we have the same experience, right? So you say set an appointment for dental service at 3 p.m. on Monday. So here I'm providing all the information directly in one sentence. Again, if as part of our chatbot, if we give just set an appointment, it will make sure that it automatically gathers all the information that's required, like the date, the time, and what service that you're looking for, all of that. But the beauty of Dialogflow is that as long as we provide all the information in one shot, it knows that yes, during the slot filling, I have captured all the information that I required. So let me directly give the response. So this as such is great, but let's actually take it a step further, because this looks pretty plain to us at this point. So how you can add more meaningful and rich responses directly into your chatbot. So for that, what you'll do is come back to the integrations and go to the intent that you want to add. So in this case, just for the sake of demo, what I'll do is let's go and directly modify the welcome intent. So the welcome intent currently has a text response. That's what you actually saw in your chatbot as well. So over here, the thing what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add some dynamic responses. So for this, the best way to actually go through is to go through the documentation. So I would say come here and search for Dialogflow Messenger. So go to this Dialogflow Messenger as part of the ES. So over here, as part of the documentation, you can come here and see everything that's required in terms of Dialogflow Messenger. If you don't like the default theme that we just saw, you can go ahead and change the theme as well. As long as you copy this code, you can see the bot message color, the button title bar color. You can change the background color, you can change the icon, and everything directly using these styles. So based on your website, based on your brand, you can always modify this specific Dialogflow Messenger. But another important thing to keep note is to make sure that this is still a beta version. So again, this would be available soon, but just keep in mind at this point where we are doing this tutorial, this is still a beta version. But this also gives us an opportunity to explore Dialogflow Messenger and the different features that it provides. Now, this is a normal simple text response that, as you can see, what you can do is if you scroll all the way down, you will start seeing rich response messages. So this is what we are going to focus on today, because let's say that rather than just providing a simple response like a text message, we want to add additional information to it. So for that, let's actually start with something called as suggestion chips. Okay, so all of this codes are available here. You can always refer this. So for this purpose of the demo, what I'm gonna do over here is come back to default. Now you can add a response over here. So click on this add response, click on custom payload. So within the custom payload, it's expecting you to paste a JSON string. So here what we are gonna do is paste a rich content. Okay, again, if you actually look at what the rich content does over here is, this is called chips or suggestion chips, and this is a quick way for you to provide the user with some suggestions. So let's say your chatbot has a lot of back and forth conversation. You don't want this user to be sitting and typing each and everything. Rather than what you would like the user to do is, based on each response or question and response, you can provide them what the suggestions is, or you can actually provide them with what's the expected output or response back. So in that way, when the user sees, okay, yes, no, so these are the options that the chatbot is expecting, let me just quickly click on that. And that goes in as an input. So this is a much more cleaner, better way to actually have rich messages to your chatbot. And it solves two problems over here. One is when you're having a chatbot, your users actually having a conversation with your chatbot. Unlike mobile applications and web applications, they're not limited or constrained by any UI like buttons and stuff. So from a mobile application standpoint, you're limited to swiping, navigating, and clicking on buttons. But when it comes to voice and chatbots, it's all about conversations. And how do you design a conversation in such a way that you direct the users to a specific action, right? So if I just say like, well, greetings, how can I help? So there might be a million things that you would want help with. So you can't just ask everything and then your chatbot cannot respond to it because it's not designed to that. So in this case, what you can do is you can use things like these visually rich responses, or in this case, suggestion chips, to guide the user that, okay, based on this specific response, you're gonna provide this with suggestion chips. So in this case, you can provide yes and no. I'm just giving it as an example. So let's save this. Okay, so the training is completed. Click on integrations again. Come back to Dialogflow Messenger. And over here, click on try now. You'd find those two buttons over here. But it doesn't make sense from this chatbot's context because we're going to set an appointment. So what is this yes and no? You can always go and change this, and you can add as many suggestions as possible. So what we can do over here is go back into our intents, the welcome intent, come down, and here what you can do is set an appointment as one of the things, and you can also say thanks. And you can add more suggestions if you need, So let's go ahead and save this. And you can see how by adding these suggestion chips, you're reducing the overall time that's required for your user to interact with your chatbot. So now that's saved. Let's go back and check our integration. Try now. Perfect. So now that I can see that greetings, I can help you set an appointment. I have a suggestion called set an appointment. So I don't really need to type. And look what happens over here. The moment I click on set an appointment, it would automatically ask me at what time, right? And over here as well, what kind of services are you looking for? So you can actually go to that intent and provide specific responses if you need, or suggestions if you need. So the user knows, okay, what are the different services that your chatbot provides. So perfect. So we've just completed one aspect of it. And you can see that the moment you click on the suggestion chips, it comes in as an input that the user had given, right? So your conversation can quickly move on. So that was one example. So that was called suggestion chips. Again, the code for all of that is available in the documentation. All you need to do is you can just copy this, change the description the way you want. And let's also look at some more examples. So let's say if you want to have info. So we're gonna go for something like this. Go back to intents, go back to welcome intent. And at any point, if you have any questions or queries, make sure to leave them in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to look at your questions and queries and possibly answer them as well. And thank you all for joining us today. I can see we have Adarsh, Darshan, Rex, Reema, Avigarg, Harish. Thanks a lot. Thank you all for joining. Thanks a lot, Harish, for the kind feedback. And let's actually keep this interactive. And even if for people who are joining us later from the live stream, make sure to leave your questions or queries and what you would like to see in the upcoming tutorials as well. So just leave it in the comment section below, and we'll have these weekly live sessions where we cover all of those. Okay, so let's go back to the intents again, play around with this. And another thing to keep in mind is you can see how the sequence of messages are shown. So first I have a text response, and then when we added another response, this is going to be a custom payload. What you could also do is add another custom payload. Okay, apart from this, you can also paste something like this, right? So here you can provide an info, so the type is info, and you can give it a title, and you can also give it a subtitle, let's say, and an image for it. So let me just pick some image URL so that you can quickly see that. And also an action link. So what I can also do is go to youtube.com/tech-with-such. Perfect. So we've kind of created like an info type rich response. And what you can also do is you can move this around. You see how you can just drag and move this around? So in this way, what's going to happen is first you'll have the text message, then you'll have an info button, and then you'll have a suggestion, right? So let's actually go ahead and try this out, see how our integration looks like. So go to Dialogflow Messenger. Let's try this out. Perfect. So here you can see that we have the text message shown first, the info card, and you have the suggestions as well. So since we've given a link, if you click on it, it will automatically take you to the chatbot. The link that you have provided, right? At the same time, as a user, you can always go ahead and click on any of these. So let's say thanks. You can see that it also responds back with these small talks. The reason why you're getting this, and you'll see that, oh, you have not designed it anywhere. How are you getting this message? That's because we've added pre-built agents that's coming from here, and we've added a pre-built agent called small talk. So it will take care of all the small talks that you probably have an interaction with your chatbot. So for example, I can say, thanks, I tried, right? So that was info. Let's move on to the next one. As I said, it keeps getting better and better in terms of all the possibilities that you have. As a business, as a startup, if you're building a chatbot from scratch, you want to make sure that it's as rich as possible. You might want to provide a specific file to the user based on the conversation. You might want to show a different image. So let's see what we can add next. So this is called a description type. So you can come here to the intents, and I'm going to add another response over here. And for the purpose of time, I'm not going to add all of this. So you can just see how it's done. So you have description title. This is text line 1, text line 2. Okay. So, and let's also add an image. Oh, the reason that you see that why this is formatted properly, because I chose a text response. That's wrong. Delete that. Make sure you choose custom payload. So anything that you want to pass it as rich response, make sure you choose custom payload for the Dialogflow messenger bot, right? So I've added a image as an example, and let's also add a button. So I'm just going to add all of these together so that instead of us actually trying this one at a time, you can actually see all of it together. So this is a button. So again, for the button, you can see we have type as button. You have the button icon, button text, URL, and then you can give other language code parameters, etc. So just go ahead and hit save. And let's see what happens. And as usual, what I would always suggest is to have your suggestions or the chips at the end. So you can just drag it and paste it at the end. Perfect. Go ahead, save it. And for each of these, you can see that you have the agent training started and completed. Once it's completed, you can go back to your integrations, click on Dialogflow Messenger, try now, and you can see all of the, so we have the info, we have the button, and when you click on the button, it automatically goes. And you can see that one of the items that we configured didn't come through. That's probably because we didn't have all the information that's required. So let's just go ahead and fix that up. So this one was the info type image. So let's give this an image. Gonna copy the same image address. Tick with search. Then comes the button. So we saw the button as well. And finally the chips. So let's see if this works. And always make sure that your JSON string is formatted properly. You don't miss any specific curly braces, just to be, just to double check that each and everything is properly formatted. Okay, so let's go back to our integrations, check all of our integrations up till this point. Perfect. You see over here how our image is being rendered, how our info type or info card is being rendered, image card is here, button is also here, and you can also choose the suggestion chips, right? So these are some of the interesting ways of how you can add rich response messages directly to your chatbot. Again, this is very specific to Dialogflow Messenger, and if you are building your own interface like this, you can always pass this information that you're getting from the request and response, and pass that information and design your backend accordingly, right? So let's move on to the next one. So the next one is gonna be, let's move on to Facebook. Okay, so in our previous tutorial, we went through how to do the whole integration with Facebook and also WhatsApp. So what I have for Facebook is, what you can do is you can come down to intents, click on the welcome intent, and by default, if you're using Dialogflow for the very first time, you'll notice that these, you won't find these Google Assistant, Facebook, Slack, Telegram, Line. These are added based on your integrations, based on when you enable the integrations. Now that the integrations are all enabled, what you can do is you can click on this plus icon and choose Facebook, right? So I have already added Facebook over here. If I click on Facebook, if I click on Google Assistant, Slack, Telegram, or Line, you'll find that nothing is added over here. And you also have this toggle over here. And to better understand this, what this means is, by default, use responses from the default tab as the first response. So if this is enabled, what it would do is, be it Google Assistant, be it Facebook, Slack, Telegram, or any integration that we have done, if this is enabled, it will always fall back to the first response from here, from the default tab. And then if you have added anything specific over here, it will come through. So let's actually go ahead and delete all of this. Or in fact, let's leave it as it is. What we can... Okay, let's come back to that. Welcome intent. And let's actually try this out. Now in Facebook, what you can do is, if you have enabled this, it will call the default one. If not, you can add responses directly over here. So this can be another way where you can customize your entire experience. So think about it, for different platforms, you'd want to have a different response in the way how your chatbot behaves. You can actually do that. And again, I'm not interested in text responses. Here you can go ahead and add a card. So the card can be image URL. So I've entered that. You can give it a title, take with search. You can also enter a subtitle and also add buttons. So over here you can give what? Take with search.com and the URL of the website, right? Any URL that you want. So this is how you add a card as a response to your Facebook integration. Once you're done with that, you can hit save. Now, since this is toggled off, what it means is, anytime you have a conversation with your chatbot, if the default welcome intent is matched, if you're on Facebook Messenger, it will directly display this card. It won't display that welcome message. But if you have this enabled, it will have that welcome message. Or the other option that you also have is add a response, a text response. You can drag it and drop it on the top and then enter the information over here. Okay, and then show the card. So that's it. So since I've already taken down the whole the Facebook integration after our previous tutorials, what I can show you is we've already done this in one of the tutorials as part of the Ultimate Chatbot tutorial, and I'll show you a demo of that or a screenshot of that. So this is how it looks. So once you say hi, if you've disabled any default responses and added a card, and the card would look something like this. So tech with search, you have, so in this case, what I did was the button was subscribe now. So if anyone clicks on it, it would automatically subscribe. So the same way you can actually go ahead and do any kind of additional rich responses that you want. So we have card, we have image. Quick replies is very similar to what we saw in the previous one. So we saw suggestion chips. So it's in Facebook, those are called quick replies. So you can type in the quick replies over here, like yes, no, and thanks. All of those will show up like those suggestion chips. so that the user can quickly click on that, and give it a title as well. Okay, so you can go ahead and save these. So that was for Facebook, and let's actually move on to the next one. And before we actually move on to the next one, what I would like to also show is, instead of adding these in different messages like this, what if you want to have a card with a combination of both image and suggestions and card, etc., right? So in that case, you can go ahead and add a custom payload over here. So this is for Dialogflow Messenger again, custom payload, and you can paste something like this. So over here, what it does is, you can see we have the image. So this will show the image, and then you'll have the info. So this will show the information or the info card, and then you have the suggestions, right? So let's again try this out. And hopefully by this, you will understand how rich responses or rich content works. So as long as you have all of the different types within the rich content, you can basically have a combination of any of these different types that's Dialogflow Messenger supports, right? So you can try and come here and see all the different things. So we have list items, we have accordion titles. So yeah, you have a different options available. So do check them out. And let's try this again under integrations. Let's go back to Messenger. Try now. So we had the text response, info card, image, button. We had suggestion chips manually added. But if you come down to the last card, you see how everything is neatly arranged into like one card. So we have the image over here and the info card together, all in like one card. And since these are like suggestion chips, you have these suggestions. And you can also see that you can also add icons to your suggestions. So let's say you want to have like a tick or cross or any kind of icons that you want to represent your suggestions, you also have the ability to do that. Okay, so hope this was useful in terms of Dialogflow Messenger integration. Now, we've covered web, we've covered Dialogflow Messenger, we've covered Facebook. And for people who are again joining us for the very first time, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you can be notified for future videos. We have these live streams happening every week, and the next topic is gonna be also pretty cool. We are gonna explore about creating digital avatars or giving digital humans, exploring digital humans, and how you can add face to your chatbots. Okay, so with that being said, let's actually move on to the next one. So the next one is gonna be Slack. Okay, so we did a Slack integration as well. So let's explore what are the different possible scenarios that we have for Slack and how does that look from a chatbot standpoint. So you can go back to your intents, welcome intent, come down, you can click on this plus icon, add Slack. So we've come over here. Now, by default, it will take the first response, that is the images from the default, the text response from the default tab. And then I can add my responses. So let's add a response over here and let's add an image. Okay, a simple image, and save this. And over Slack, let's go ahead and switch to the bot that we did. So if I say hi right now, you'll see that greetings, I can help you set up an appointment. So that came from our default tab. And since we added a new card over here, we are automatically getting the image as well. So you can see how cool this is. Even though you have different platforms, Dialogflow is an excellent tool where you can directly integrate all of these rich elements and components so that your user has a much more immersive experience, right? So the next one that we are looking at is so I have some questions over here. How can we change the output chat window size? Again, this you can also, as long as the chatbot messenger is concerned, you have the options to customize it. But in terms of what you're actually seeing within the contents and how everything is being rendered, you can actually customize it. So do check the documentation in those aspects. If you're looking at the Dialogflow web integration, you can just have the same integration. You can copy the code and paste it. It's basically like an iframe as such. Okay, so the next one what I have for you guys is we've seen Facebook, we've seen Slack. Again, I'm not gonna go in detail and look at all the possible things. I think you have an idea of what each of these mean by now. So we've come to the second part of the whole session where we're gonna start tackling Google Assistant. And this is where things start to get even more exciting, because with Google Assistant, you have an option not only for chat, but also voice. You can interact with your chatbot via voice. So we've already done the integration, and this is one of the most simplest integrations that you can ask for. So when you come to integrations, all you need to do is click on the Google Assistant. You can design any chatbot using Dialogflow. Come over here, click on Google Assistant and hit test. And for people who are interested in building chatbots, building voice assistants or building actions for the Google Assistant as such, I would highly recommend that you check out the tutorials where we cover about the new actions builder. So by default, let me switch to the right account that we are building this for. So by default, right now for creating actions for the Google Assistant, the best tool that you can actually try out is the Actions Builder and the Actions SDK. So I have all of those tutorials that's available in the channel. Do check those videos out. So if you're someone who wants to build natively for the Google Assistant, that's the best approach to do. However, Dialogflow still offers you the flexibility to integrate your chatbot designed in Dialogflow to the Google Assistant. So I have another question saying, Neeraj, where shall we learn webhook? Webhook also has been covered during some of the previous tutorials. Do check them out, Neeraj. And we will also be covering those in the future as well. How you can create your own webhook, how we can build up a backend and send back and forth the information from your chatbot or Dialogflow to your backend. So as we have these weekly sessions, we'll be covering more and more. Happy to see that you guys are coming up with questions. Leave them in the chat section, and based on these, I'll prepare the contents accordingly as well. Okay, so we are here in Google Assistant. Let's come to the test part, and let's see what our Google Assistant application integration looks like as of this moment.
Okay, here's the test version of my test app.
Greetings. I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus.
Perfect. So this is a simple text response, and for people who are not familiar with this whole interface, this is called the Actions console. You have everything that you want to build your action or voice application for Google Assistant is available over here. So you develop, you can test it directly. Let's say you don't have a smart display at home, or you don't even have a smart speaker, but let's say you're interested in building one. You can always choose this simulator under test. You can choose the different options over here. So if I choose speaker and trigger this, so you can say talk to my test app, which will trigger this test application, and you'll only hear the audio.
Here's the test version of my test app.
Greetings. I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus.
Perfect. Now let's also see how this is being rendered on the phone, which is key because you want to make sure that your action that you're building is compatible across different screens, different devices. So this test simulator is an excellent
getting
tool
the test version of my test
to
app.
actually experience that.
Greetings. I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus.
Cool. So this is what a simple chatbot experience is. So I can say set an appointment. You can also choose the mic option over here. Set an appointment.
At what time?
7 p.m.
When do you need this?
This coming Sunday.
What kind of services are you looking for?
I would like to have the dental service.
Okay, let me see if we can fit you in. December 27th, 7 p.m. is fine.
Perfect. So over here, if you go back to the calendar, on Sunday 27th, we have the appointment already set, right? So this is wonderful. So you can see how easy it was when you have the voice experience. Again, if this is on a smart speaker, you don't even need to have these, click on these. You can just have back and forth conversation, which is the most natural way that we are used to communicating. So it's a wonderful way to actually interact with. Now, with this being said, let's actually make this a little more rich experience. So the way how you do that is the same way how we did for all the others. Go back to your intent, and again, it's not necessary that you just choose welcome intent. You as per your conversational design, your chatbot, you might have many intents. So depending on which intent and what it does, you can have these responses. Okay, so you come back over here, go to Google Assistant. You can see, since this is enabled, the default response comes from the first tab. On top of that, if you want to add some kind of other rich messages, you can do that. So let's try the suggestion chips, because this is something that you'll often use. So I'm just gonna give it as, set an appointment. And save this. So once the training is done, you can refresh the screen. And let's see how the welcome message is right now. So we switched back to the smart display, since these suggestions will be shown on the smart display.
Alright, getting the test version of my test app.
Greetings. I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus.
Perfect. So we have set an appointment. You can click on set an appointment, and then
At what
automatically
time?
get 8 p.m. on Thursday.
What kind of services are you looking for?
Dental service.
Okay, let me see if we can fit you in. December 24th, 8 p.m. is fine.
So another thing to note over here is when it asks for the time, I gave both the day and the time together, and it was able to understand that, okay, I've got the day, I don't need to ask at what date, right? So I can just ask the missing link, which is missing information, which is the service. So once I provided the service, it's all set, right? But on the welcome message, you could see that we had the suggestion chips. We can take this a step further and add more responses over here. So we have list. So you can enter the set of lists that you need. So for example, for the dental service or, passport renewal, driver license and all of those things, you can add it as a list over here. You can also go ahead and add a card, basic card, add an image, type in the title, subtitle, enter the web link title. You can copy some and the URL. Or you can even give this as youtube.com/techwithsuch. Save this. So now what's going to happen is we have basic card as well as suggestions together. Let's go ahead and test our application at this point after the training is completed. Refresh the screen and also leave in the comment section what you think is a good use case for these kind of rich messages. I'd love to see and hear what you think about these different options that you have as part of the rich responses and how you would use them in your chatbot.
Alright, let's get the test version of my test app.
Greetings. I can help you set up an appointment and also help you get information about the coronavirus.
So here you can see that we have that basic card shown over here, and then you can also see the suggestion chips.
At what time?
So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this because we know how you can add rich messages and responses over here. And now with that, we'll come to the very last part of this whole tutorial, which is my personal favorite, which is called SSML. So what is SSML? SSML is speech synthesis markup language. So if you go and search for SSML, okay. So what SSML provides is, just say that we have these text responses that we are providing to the user. But what if you want to have a different experience? So in this case, let's say you want to make sure while you're giving back the response, like say for example, like the Google Assistant, instead of just a monotonous simple response, you want to add music or you want to add background sound, you want to pause for a certain few seconds. All of that is possible directly using SSML. So think about this SSML as your HTML for voice or sound. Okay, so here you can see we have some of the examples. The first one is the speak right? So you can see the speak element. Now over here for the speak element, any content that you put under the speak, this would be read out. So here's an example of that.
My SSML content.
Okay. And for the break, what it does is the break element, once you add the break element, you can add pauses between the conversation. So for example, you see how this is configured. So we have the entire conversation between the speak elements or speak tags, and within this you have step 1, take a deep breath, step 2, exhale, step 3, take a deep breath again, step 4, exhale. And all of this is kind of provided directly like this. Now,
Step 1, take a deep breath. Step 2, exhale. Step 3, take a deep breath again. Step 4, exhale.
and depending on the time limit that you give over here, the break time or the pause can be increased or decreased. Okay, so here are other examples. So let's say that you are getting your responses back from your webhook or backend, and you're providing a number like this, but you like the number to be spoken out, not 1 2 3 4 5, but as 12,345. So you can put it as say as and interpret as cardinal.
12,345.
So if this was not there, it would have just, tried to have this in a different form. Now the ordinal part, so you can see the same one as, instead of 1, you can, since you have this interpret as ordinal,
First.
you can have it called first. So these are different ways how you can spice up your entire response, or your chatbot response, or your voice assistant responses. So let's go ahead and see some more examples, and what we'll do is we'll learn all these different elements and we'll combine it together, and we'll create a specific response which is a holiday special that I've just quickly made. So
CAN.
So you can see this is actually can, but if you interpret as characters, it will read as CAN. So you have a lot of different options over here. You can even see for a specific word you want to put it as expletive. You'll have the beep or the bleep, sorry, right? So this is pretty cool because it takes the whole experience to another level. And if you come all the way down, you'll start seeing audio responses. Now let's say you want to add audio to your chatbot. So again, this is another example. So let's say you're creating an action for the Google Assistant, and you want to make sure that your action or your voice application has a specific theme to it. So let's say you're building an action based on a horror theme, or based on a specific season or festival. You want to make sure that the audio of the user, the audio of your bot or chatbot or voice assistant is in a different theme, and you can also add sound effects to it and a lot of those. So one such example is this one, the audio tag. You can click on it and see how the responses are. So this was the cat purr. You also have the ability to
日本橋
different languages, right? So that's pretty cool.
World Wide Web Consortium.
Now that we've kind of understood what SSML is, one of the tips that I would give is the best way for you to actually play around with SSML and then put it into Dialogflow is you can actually go and search for Google Cloud text to speech. Okay, so click on this text to speech link from Google Cloud, and within this you find an example. So you have two kinds of example over here, the text and SSML. So click on SSML and you can see a version of SSML over here. So all you need to do is copy this. Again, you can design your entire speech or speak tag elements and combine all the messages under this. So let's see what this would sound like. So you can see the first one is an emphasis element. So within emphasis is strong. So this will be like to be. And then there's a break time for 200 milliseconds or not to be. And then a little more 400 milliseconds break. Then a moderate emphasis, that is a question. So you can just listen to this and understand how this goes.
To be, or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them.
Right? So this is how you can actually quickly configure and test it out directly using this. So you can copy this information and copy this code and then put it into your Dialogflow. Right? So you can also come down. There are few more things like something called as the parallel tags or the parallel media container. So what this does is, instead of going in sequence one by one, you can define the beginning and the end, where to start and end. So this one, you can see that the bottom part media doesn't have a start or beginning. It will basically start playing the background music, which is like over here the cat purr. And then this one is another audio source, which is a cartoon boing, a sound effect, which plays at the end of answer.end, which is when this is over, minus 0.2 seconds, this will be played. So just see how this works.
Who invented the internet? The internet was invented by cats.
So you can see how a background noise was, sound was there, and then this sound effect was kind of provided towards the end. Now, what I've done over here is a very similar thing, and let's actually go ahead and try this out directly in Dialogflow. And you can disable the default response. You can add simple response over here, or you can enable this, go to default. I'm just gonna delete all of these. And in fact, I'm gonna delete this one as well. Just add a completely new response over here, which says this. So over here you can see it's a speak tag. We are doing ho ho ho, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Then we have these sound effects audio sources that's been defined here. So if you want to add your own, you can always have your own URL, or you can put it in cloud storage and refer it directly over here. And if you want to add sound effects, you can always go and search for Google Sound Library. So this sound library provides you with all the possible different options that you need. So alarm clock. So today, for example, I search for jingle bells. So when I click on this, I get the URL, and I also get to see for how long this plays. So this is like a 30-second long thing, right? So I come back over here. I can copy that entire thing. So this is the background audio that I need, and the same boing effect towards the end of the thing. So let's save this and let's try this out. How does this come in terms of our integration? Once the training is completed, you can go to test, refresh, and let's try this out. So if you guys have any questions or queries, let me know. And also, I would highly recommend that you guys try out SSML. It's pretty cool. The amount of things that you can do with it is awesome.
Okay, getting the test version of my test app.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
right? So here you can see how you can add the whole sound effects to it. So again, once again, I'll play this again. So we've seen the code here. So you see ho ho ho, it starts begin, you have the media tag. Then again, I say within the speak tag, I have Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So it starts over here, begin at question.end, which is the first ID. Then you come down, you have an audio source of the boing, which will basically begin after this answer, right? Minus 0.2 seconds. And this one, since we have not provided any specific beginning or end, it would start playing throughout the whole time. And you also see something called as repeat count. So let's say there's a specific sound effect, you want to keep repeating it, you can go ahead and add it 3 times. So it will play 3 times, right? So all of this is possible using SSML. So save this, come back here, let's test this out.
Okay, here's the test version of my test app.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
So once again, thank you all for joining. That's all we have for today. Super excited to have all of you joining live from different parts of the world. Thank you all for joining. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon, and also share the same contents with your friends and colleagues. With that being said, once again, my name is Sachin, and see you all in the next one.